And welcome to the HS Game Time Live Blitz. Kyle, we're already into the CIF Southern Section semifinals, one win away from a trip to the CIF Championship game. So we got a lot of great games to get to. I know you were up in the high desert last week and you sent us back that great video from your car. Was it your car?
Yeah, my car was raining outside, so I didn't really want to try and do it live from the field. I didn't want to get too wet.
Fair enough. Okay, so we got some great games this Friday, but let's be honest. In comparison to these playoff games and just playing football in general, everything pales in comparison to when a football player gets severely hurt. And our thoughts and prayers go out to Jordan Walker at Santiago High School, a linebacker who suffered a neck and spinal injury from what we've been told. He's at Loma Linda University right now recovering and getting treatment. It happened last Friday in their playoff game against Upland. And Kyle, we've been told that Centennial and Upland in their playoff game this Friday will be wearing number 55 decals, Jordan's number, on their helmets for this game on Friday. And also Santiago players will be at the game for a very special pre-game prayer before kickoff between Centennial and Upland.
Yeah, definitely, a classy move by the folks at Upland and Centennial for putting this on. I think this is everyone's worst nightmare in terms of, the parents, the teammates, the coaches, even us reporters. We cover enough high school football games. I've seen more kids wheeled off in ambulances than I care to remember. So obviously we all hope that Jordan gets well and that speedy recovery and all his faculties are okay, and just kind of hope and wait and see at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get to the football games this Friday, we wanted to make sure we acknowledge Jordan Walker, the Santiago football team, and of course his family, and just let him know that everyone at HS Game Time is pulling for him, and that's Definitely. Where our thoughts are as we head into this Friday. But we do have some games. We will touch on them a little bit, and let's start with that Centennial Upland game, Kyle. This is a rematch from last year's playoffs. Centennial won fairly easily. I mean, Upland did put some points on the board, but we've seen the Huskies in recent weeks, and scoring points is not a problem for them. I think if their defense comes to play, they should cruise past Upland once again.
I think even if their defense has some faults, Centennial's going to put up enough points that they'll win. I mean, 40, 50 points. The defense can give up 20 points, not be at their best, and Centennial will still be able to win. Before we really delve into this, I do want to say, though, I'm a big believer that if you get to the Final Four of anything, you have a lot to be proud of. So even, no matter who wins or loses these games on Friday, every team should walk away with their head held high, because just to get to the Final Four in your division means you're truly one of the best. And we're in Southern California, one of the richest areas for high school football. I mean, if you're in the Final Four in any of these divisions, congratulations, you're one of the best teams in the country. So, all these games, you're talking about two really good teams capable of winning, but it just comes back down to, I'm a big believer in history repeating itself. Centennial is loaded like they always are. They've been there. They're going to be well coached, and I just think even if you look on paper, I think they just have a few more weapons than Upland does. But Upland's no slouch. They got kids who can play at a very high level. So this will be one of many good games this weekend.
I was pulling for a Rumble on Rimpaw Part 2. I was pulling for the Sharks last week. They all nearly got it done. Something about Santiago and Upland brings out the best in each other, and they play these dramatic games with crazy finishes.
Well, I think as we've talked about, they're two teams that are extremely similar. You look in the mirror and you can almost see the other. So it doesn't surprise me that there's been two one-point games, because there really isn't a whole lot that separates those two teams. But just as we've seen, Centennial is way above Santiago. I think at the end of the day, they'll be way above Upland. They're just Centennial. That's all you can really say.
All right, also in the Inland Division, that's one of the semifinal games. The other one, I guess it's going to be an okay game. I mean, people have been talking about it a little bit. We're talking about Vista Murrieta taking on Norco. You covered some of this. It's been well documented that Todd Gerhardt was relieved of his duties at Norco High School in the offseason, and subsequently Colton Gerhardt transferred to Vista Murrieta. And we all kind of thought about it. What if Vista Murrieta played Norco in the playoffs? And Kyle, now we get that matchup.
We do, and I want to say first and foremost, I've seen some of the message boards. I think people are going a little overboard. These are high school kids. This is a situation that occurred and affected a lot of people. So I think this whole idea of, the entire pride of a city is on the line, No, it shouldn't be. I think that for either Norco or Murrieta, if your entire city identity is wrapped up in whoever wins this game, you have issues. But getting back to the football, this is going to be a really good game. Independent of all the stuff with the Gerhardts and the transfers of other players, these are two very good programs with a lot of pride, a lot of tradition, and are used to being in the playoffs, in the semifinals. So I think we're going to see a really good, hard-fought game, talent all over the field. And once again, this is completely independent of anything that happened with, the Gerhardts and all that situation. Just look at the talent on both rosters. I think Vista Murrieta is the better team. I think a lot of people think that Vista Murrieta is the better team, and thus they're going to be favored to win. All the extra stuff about, the anger, and they're at Norco, and I think at the end of the day, talent trumps all that, and Vista Murrieta, I think, is just the better team. Once again, can Norco win? Of course. Any of these teams can win. Yeah. We're in the semifinals. But Vista Murrieta, we've talked about it. I think they're the best team in this division, Centennial included, and I think it's, within their grasp to get to the finals.
Yeah, on paper, Vista Murrieta probably with more talent, but Norco playing very well right now, the hot team in the playoffs. And as you mentioned, if we need a reminder that this is just a football game, just look what, the Santiago football family's going through. And, of course you want to win, but there's a bigger picture here.
Exactly. These are 16, 17-year-old kids. They're going out. Some of them playing football for the last time of their lives, so they're going to give it their all. But I look forward to it. I mean, Coley Candell, we know, is one of the best coaches in the area. Larry Baker right now is probably going to be your Coach of the Year winner. So it's also going to be an interesting chess match on the sidelines. The Norco folks maybe know some of the weaknesses of some of the key guys on Vista Murrieta just from their previous familiarity. So at the end of the day, I think this is going to be a good, hard-fought football game that definitely has the potential to be the game of the week.
Yeah, I think both sides should be commended of what they did. As you said, Larry Baker stepping in. He'd been around the program for many years, but he stepped in and kept that program going in the right direction. And Colton Gerhardt, assimilating to what they were doing at Vista Murrieta, and they really didn't lose a beat. They had a great quarterback last year, Nick Stevens. He wears the same number as Stevens. It feels like the same guy back there. Because they just keep it going. And Kyle, we got Jim Wynn coming over. He's going to talk about the Inland Empire All-Star Classic. So, hey, Leonard, if you want to sit Jim down, we can talk to him right about now, and we'll talk about the Inland Empire All-Star Classic. But Kyle, let me mention, throw out a couple names to you, because these are Inland Division players who have been making some pretty big-time commitments or decommitting in the last couple of days, and I just want to point some of them out. So Blake Barnett, the quarterback at Santiago, committing to Notre Dame. Surprise there, or about par for the course?
Notre Dame is always a big-name school. I think anytime they're interested, you listen. They have produced a lot of very good quarterbacks throughout their long, storied history. Recently, some guys haven't worked out. The Jimmy Clausens, Dane Chris of the world, guys who were very highly touted and didn't quite work out to the level they expected to perform. But no, I think you can never really be surprised whenever a kid commits to Notre Dame because it has that name brand.
All right, we got Jim Wynn standing by. You can scoot a little bit closer, Jim. We're running down a couple of big names here. And Kyle, how about Vianney Talamaival? So I saw him the night they played Corona, and that weekend they were going to Tuscaloosa to visit Alabama as they took on LSU. And he went there, which you thought would seal the deal. He came back and he decommitted, and now he's going to USC.
And USC was on Talamaival for a while. They've been trying to, get him off that Alabama commitment for months. And Coach O, looks like he got it done. They're doing a lot of good work down there at SC. And Vianney, is not just one of the top linemen in the state, but really the country. He went to the opening and earned some rave reviews there. He held his own against the best of the best. So a big get for USC. And there will be more, movement. We still have, 3 months until signing day. Every year we see, commitments and decommitments and recommitments.
Yeah.
So, these won't be the only changes by the time February rolls around.
And Barry Ware, a receiver at Centennial, he is decommitted and he's back on the market. He was going to UCLA. I think what we've learned here, and I've not just from this class, the senior class, but classes before that, is that a verbal commitment, while it sounds great and schools get excited about it, it really doesn't mean much in the end.
Take it with a grain of salt. That's why, I always hesitate to report a verbal commitment or not. Because
I have a hard time with that.
Okay, it's cool, it's exciting, but until your name's on the paper, it's hard. And even after that, you have kids who don't qualify academically or family issues. We saw with Eddie Vanderdoes, was all set at Notre Dame. Family issue arises, he's at UCLA. So I kind of feel like until they put on the uniform and are lining up on the sideline, I'm almost hesitant to say, yep, he's there.
Got it. All right. This guy, he's itching to talk about the Inland Empire All-Star Classic. I can feel it.
Football players.
Yeah, some of the best in the IE. So Jim Wynn, thank you for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it. Did you bring gifts over here for us, or what's all this stuff?
Got some T-shirts here, and All-Star tickets are on
Can I hold one up here? Can I hold one up for us?
Yep.
I like it. Simple, classy, just, black and white. I think sometimes people get a little too over the top, but I like it. Simple is classy.
Yeah, nice. We're going to have the 29th Annual Inland Empire All-Star Football Classic. The best athletes from Riverside going against the best athletes from San Bernardino. And looking forward to the game. It's going to be January 11th, 2014, 7 p.m. over at Corona High School. And we're going to have a banquet January 4th for the kids. We have Mark Christopher Lawrence. He'll be there doing the keynote speaking. And inside the facility right now, Adrenaline, they're one of our major sponsors. The Press Enterprise, HS Game Time, Ortho Express, and DJ Don Joy. They're great people that help support this program.
Jim, I'm gonna need this HS Game Time logo just a little bit bigger, like the biggest one on there.
There
All
we
right,
go.
okay, we can fix that. All right.
Yep.
So, Jim, take us through the process of how you guys go about selecting the players that are invited to the team.
What happens, there's about 117 schools now in the 2 counties. And so letters will go out to each one of the coaches, and we simply ask the coaches to put down in their order their top 5 athletes that are seniors, graduating seniors. And then at that point, we get a database completed, and then Max Preps, Eric Johnson with the Press Enterprise.
And yours truly.
Yep, and yourself as well, Kyle. Yep, we'll get some stuff together, and at that point, we start kind of having a really good pool of all the best athletes, and then eventually the coaches. This year we have Dennis Brown from Riverside Poly High School and Ron Geringer from San Gregorio. So that's how the process gets going.
What would you say is the best thing about this game? It's going on for a while. A lot of great athletes have come through. What's the thing that makes it so special?
I think the biggest thing we've always tried to do is make sure it's known as a community event. We don't want just people to say, hey, here's another football game. Without question, we know it's going to be a football game, but more than anything, we have the community isn't going to be involved, whether it's cheerleaders. The Corona ROTC program this year is going to be involved quite a bit. We've had the 9/11 tribute we did a few years back. We had 500 people that were on the field, and military men and women throughout. And I think that's what makes it, that whether it's the singers, just trying to keep the community involved at large.
And Jim, leading up to it, you have the media day. You come out,
Sure.
you take all the pictures, and the guys kind of get to know each other because for most of the season, they're trying to beat the other guy on the other side of the ball, and now they're on the same team trying to get to know these guys. And by the end of the week, most of them say, gosh, I actually really like him.
Sure.
I spent my 4 years in high school wanting to take his head off, but he's actually a pretty good guy.
Yeah, this year you have the Vista Murrieta versus Norco this weekend, and yet those kids will be participating in the game on the same side of the line, in about another 3 weeks after that. So this year we're fortunate also to have Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is going to be helping to provide the food during the banquet.
I saw the cow out there last year.
Yeah, the cow was
he's
out there
taking
last
pictures.
year.
I think I took a picture with him.
Yep, you did. That was great. I remember that. Yeah.
So, Jim, when it comes down to it, how difficult is it to select the kids? Because, there's got to be some kids that it's tough to leave off.
Yeah, no doubt. Back in the day when it was just the Riverside versus Riverside, 1986, actually had the first program out here.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Retro.
You see some vintage players. So anyways, in 1986, you're looking at a much smaller pool of number of schools. I think we were looking at maybe 17 to 20 back then. And, now you're looking at 117 to 120 schools that are involved. So it's difficult. We actually have always tried to keep it, initially it was about 34 players. Then it would slowly progress to about 36, 38. And then last year we actually had 45 players. So this year we'll start the rosters off at 40. And then we'll kind of have a few spots open because we know that there's going to be a few of the kids that maybe they can't play because of injuries or something like that. So we just want to make sure that we give every kid the opportunity.
We've also seen a lot of different All-Star games come about, and there are various CIF rules that limit the amount of All-Star games a kid can play. And how do you guys, get some of the guys that maybe are invited to the Army All-American game or the U.S. Under Armour game?
I think part of staying true to our commitment is that we're going to try and put out a great event. I remember the one year we had Toby Gerhardt and Alan Bradford. They were both great Inland Empire players now playing professionally, and they were the state athletes of the year. Well, the same night was the Shrine Game that year, and it was really great to see that those two kids stayed true to their community, and so they both stayed and played in our game. And we like that because it's neat to show that they're already showing their commitment to the community. Our first scholarship winner was a student from Riverside Poly back in 1986, Bruce Campbell. He now is one of the main fixtures behind the OWN network and National Geographics and so forth and so on. So it's great to see some of the former students that have won scholarships that are doing well out there.
Also, Jim, it's kind of a final time for them to showcase their talents if they're one of these guys that are getting looks from colleges. I've seen some college coaches on the sideline trying to get a look at some of these guys that they've heard about, and they might have had good seasons. And, of course, they don't want to slip through the cracks. And here's your final shot to maybe impress some people.
Yes, no doubt that that's one of the things you'll see. it's one of those opportunities where some of these kids might be borderline scholarship kids, and then some of the decommitments that are going on right now, it maybe opens up a spot for these kids. So it is that one other game where they can really showcase themselves.
Generally speaking, how many colleges are represented, whether it's via their head coaches or various recruiting coordinators at this event?
I would say we're looking somewhere between 10 to 15 usually that will come in.
Did you bring some presents for us? Are those tickets?
Yeah, so tickets are on sale now.
Uh-huh.
Give you this right here. We can kind of show that off. And
we'll have to get that on the site, all this contact information.
Yep, we have our website's on there as well. So this is one of those opportunities where if you want to see a great event, hopefully come out and support the kids and just see another great game here in the Inland Empire. So once again, we thank you guys for everything that you guys do. And we love working with the kids. It's really a great thing that I grew up in this community. I went to Arlington High School myself. And we try and do a lot of things, whether it's educating regarding concussions, rehabbing injuries. But this is our time to just kind of put a game together and kind of watch the community come as one.
Excellent. Jim, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that's it.
Buy all the tickets, though, right?
Buy tickets right now. Help support the community. Come out and see the kids. And I think you're going to see another great game on January 11th, 2014 over at Corona High School.
Thank you so much, Jim.
All right, thanks, Jim. We're excited about it.
Thank you. Hey,
We're excited about that. I'm sure Kyle and I will be out there, running around on the sidelines.
Yeah, we'll see who draws that assignment. Will all be my editor, David Zink. So it's all good.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, awesome. So the Inland Empire All-Star Classic
we get to keep all this
quickly
stuff?
approaching. I guess. Look, this is a relic. I mean, this thing came straight out of the museum, this 1986 program.
I'm a history buff, so I'm all about it.
You might have to dig through this thing. There's some
cool names.
Yeah, I think Jim Clover from the Sport Clinic, that's him right there. We might be able to use that to
bribery?
Yeah, or blackmail or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, not bribery.
With Jim Clover's a great guy from the Sport Clinic, but we could probably bust his chops over that perm he had in the program.
I love the 80s. I love 80s pictures. Pep, what did you look like in the 80s?
Oh, man. I was pegging my pants for sure, like the jeans. You know, remember you used to peg your pants? Did you do it, or did you miss that?
I was born in 1988.
You missed it. Okay, so I was...
I was wearing diapers at the time you were pegging your pants.
I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I was pegging my pants, and I was watching like the Gummy Bears on Saturday mornings.
I remember the Care Bears.
You don't remember the Gummy Bears? Gummy Bears bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Sorry.
Okay, never mind. All right, we've
Power
digressed.
Rangers was my jam.
And Power Rangers?
Oh, yeah.
See, I missed that. You're a little bit younger, so I missed that window. But we got to keep this show moving because we got Dennis Brown that's going to join us in just a second. But Kyle, let's quickly take a look at our HS Game Time Top 10 right now as we head into the CIF Southern Section semifinals. Maybe the most notable thing here is Citrus Hill back in the top 10.
Yeah, you know, we've seen a lot of other teams that were ahead of them lose, Riverside Poly being one of them. And Citrus Hill, you know, they haven't won pretty. They have a lot of games that they have had to come back from. They could very reasonably have lost last week. They could have lost to Poly. They could have lost to Talkwitz. But they've won. And at the end of the day, it's, you know, you have to win your games. The rest is just kind of style points. So, you know, Citrus Hill, I mean, they've earned their spot back in the top 10 because they've gone, you know, 11-1, and they're one of the last teams standing.
All right, so that's our HS Game Time Top 10 right now, and now joining us on the show,
the one and only Dennis Brown.
Yeah, the great Dennis Brown, coming off a fantastic season at Riverside Poly. Thanks for joining us, Coach. And first, let me ask you about your first year on the job with the Bears, kind of how you envisioned it. It was a great year, winning record, challenge for a league title, won a playoff game.
Yeah, it was, you know, it was a successful season. You know, obviously you're disappointed unless you're playing in the championship game, and we're not. But from what we came into, what we took over in the program, where we went throughout the season, I think we made a lot of strides. We got a lot of kids coming back, so we're looking forward to, you know, to next season and the challenges ahead.
Now, Coach, I'm going to embarrass you here for a second, but just, you know, we're out in the community, and I got to say, the amount of love getting thrown your way from people nowhere near Riverside Poly. We're talking high desert down to Temecula. They're saying, "Do you see what Dennis Brown's doing at Poly?" Oh my goodness! I was on a message board the other day, and the subject was actually about what coaches should be fired. But they were saying, "Yeah, look at the opposite. Look, you know, get a good coach in there, and miracles happen." Like Dennis Brown. I mean, you've almost in 1 year, your profile's been raised dramatically. And I know you're kind of a more mild-mannered guy. But what do you make of all? Do you get a kick out of all the attention and love getting thrown your way?
Sure, I think everybody likes, to be patted on the back, but you try to keep it in perspective, and it's all about what the players do and how they perform on the field, and so the credit goes to, to the players and the team, and like we've talked about all year, the family atmosphere that we've started at Poly High School, and I think that's where all the credit goes to is the kids.
I've heard a number of other coaches say they feel like it's important that Riverside Poly be good at football just because the history of the school. Do you feel that you almost a pressure that Poly needs to be good to represent the whole area?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Poly's name just being around the top again is good for high school football everywhere. I think Poly has a great history. The guys that we've talked about on the show and even got mentioned on the show, like Mark Green, last week or the week before was talked about, and Randy Horton, Tim Harden, and guys like that, that were, Mark Green was the National High School Player of the Year his senior year. So, it's been a successful program, and, we're hoping to continue to build from this year to get back to that level of football.
Coach, I was one of those guys ready to pencil in Riverside Poly in the semifinals, hoping to see that battle with Heritage. I was too. If you could play Colony again, do you feel like if you had another crack at them, we might see a different outcome in that game?
Yeah, I think, they played a great game. Obviously, and that's the playoffs, you don't get another chance, and so I think that our team will learn a lot from that for next season. But I think that they did a great job. They have some good players on that team, and they were well coached and, prepared well and did a good job. We made a few mistakes, but, don't take anything away from what they did. They played really well.
All right, Coach, I think we need your expert analysis for the Central Division playoffs. You played Kaiser. You played Rancho Verde. They're playing each other. They played each other last year. What do you make of that matchup, having seen both teams?
I think it's going to be another great game. I think we played Kaiser early in the year. They were maybe struggling a little bit at that time, but they're a great team. Obviously the defending, CIF champs from our division, so they're very confident going into the game. Rancho Verde's confident, got a lot of big-time players on their team. I think it's a classic matchup. I think Kaiser knows how to win, and so does Rancho Verde, so neither team's going to back down, that's for sure.
And let's go to that Heritage Colony game. You just saw Colony. What kind of problems do you think they could be for Heritage, who seems to be a balanced team? They got offense, they got defense, they can do a lot of things, but where was Colony strong?
I think Colony was strong up front on both sides of the ball, so I think that matchup will also be really good. I only saw Heritage one time, just for a few minutes actually, so I don't know that much about them other than just what you see on the clips, but they're a big physical team. Their running backs are solid, and I think that's going to be a good matchup because Colony is really good up front on both sides of the ball. Their kids are tough, physical players, and so I think it's going to be two really good football games this Friday.
We saw Arlington, a tough physical defense that you guys have seen, hold Heritage to only 21 points, which is low by their standards. Do you think Colony has the size and the toughness to maybe hold them to a similar level of scoring?
I definitely think that game will be a low-scoring game. I think that both teams are well coached, obviously, and I think that both teams play good defense, so they'll figure a way to kind of slow each other down. And then it's going to come down to the fourth quarter who makes plays.
Coach, let's ask you about the Inland Empire All-Star Classic coming up. Talk about the game. Talk about maybe some Riverside Poly Bears hopefully in this game. I know you've got a strong junior class, but you've got some seniors as well.
We do. Hopefully we'll have a few of the kids, the seniors in the game. Looking forward to it. I think it's a great opportunity. Again, we'll be practicing at Poly, so just bringing that caliber of kids on campus, practicing, just having another week of practice. I know it's not with our kids, but just another week to be out there on the field coaching, and that's what I like to do, and our staff gets to coach that game, and so we're looking forward to it.
Are you excited the opportunity to coach kids who play, Centennial and Vista Murrieta? I mean, guys you've only really seen on film, and now you get to coach them. Does that excite you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the All-Star game, you're going to get great kids. I mean, the best kids from each school, and so there will be obviously some kids that won't play in the game because of other commitments or things that they have. But I think the kids that do play, it's going to be a lot of fun to coach. The talent that's going to be out there.
All right, Dennis Brown from Riverside Poly, we appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Congrats on a great season. Good luck in the Inland Empire All-Star Classic. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Dennis Brown, the great Dennis Brown, right?
Absolutely. No, I think as we talked about, he's definitely, in a matter of a year, become one of the most respected coaches in the area. I really like his take on the Colony Heritage game because I think a lot of people out here are assuming Heritage is going to blow right through Colony and get into the title game because, Colony's in Ontario. We're not really paying that much attention to them in that league as a whole. But it's interesting. Is not going to be easy for Heritage from a guy, so says the guy who, and I trust his football knowledge.
Yes. Well, I saw the second half of Riverside Poly and Colony, and I feel like probably 7 times out of 10, maybe 8 times out of 10, Poly wins that game. I just felt like across the board they had more talent, but like Coach said, it only takes one game in the playoffs, and you come on an off night and you're done. All right, before we leave the Central Division, Kyle, let's go back to last season's Rancho Verde against Kaiser game. I'm calling this up right now. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've heard about it.
Okay, so here it is. So
it's a fumble.
Kaiser was down. Marquette Washington was running the ball for Kaiser. He gets towards around midfield, and he laterals the ball back to the quarterback, Raymond Padilla, who goes in for the game-winning touchdown. I believe that was about 2.5 minutes left in the game, and that was the go-ahead and winning touchdown at that point. So Rancho Verde and Kaiser shaping up to be a great rematch. And Kaiser, if you look at their season, kind of just getting better, going up in that direction. So I think a lot of people are picking the Rancho Verde, but don't count out Kaiser.
Definitely not. I also, if I remember correctly, Shriron Jones threw an interception at the end of the game. Like Rancho Verde was driving down the field, and it might have been in the end zone or something like that. I think one of the big differences this year is Jones has a full season under his belt. Last year, he only played 5 or 6 games because he had an injury. And I think that Rancho Verde, they're probably a little more fine-tuned as a team this year just because they have a year more of experience. Their quarterback has another year in that offense, a full season. I think that a lot of people are counting Kaiser out, and I think one thing we've seen over the years is never count Kaiser out.
Yeah,
Phil Zelaya and staff are always on their game. I think we'll see. I'm looking forward to the battle up front. Kaiser, they're tough. They're going to hit you, smack you in the mouth. We've seen, Rancho Verde has 2 of the better offensive linemen with Tavita Halalilo and CIF-SS. I think that battle in the trenches is definitely going to be a sight to see.
Well, when I think of Kaiser, I think of being physical. I think of running the ball in defense. But they hung 49 on Canyon Springs, 49 zip. So I think maybe we're not giving Kaiser enough credit on offense. But it should be a great game. If I was going to
Canyon Springs is very different than Rancho Verde when it comes to offense. Defense in terms of talent level. I think that if Kaiser wins this game, let's say Kaiser scores 24, 26 points. I think that's probably where they're gonna be. It's really going to be a matter of, okay, does the defense make enough stops where that's enough to win, or does Rancho Verde fire on all cylinders and put up 41?
I remember seeing Shriron Jones in Summer Passing League, and he was still thinking about this game last year, and he said, I got to lead my team out of the wilderness. He called losing that game the wilderness. He wants to lead his team out of it, and I'm sure the Mustangs do not want to have that same feeling losing to Kaiser
Raymond Padilla,
once again.
Though, same quarterback's there. He knows he has the confidence that he can beat Rancho Verde, so that's another intangible to keep in mind.
Yeah, he's already done it. Why not do it again? We got to thank Adrenaline Athletic Training here in Corona once again for being such a gracious host to the Blitz here for HS Game Time. We really appreciate it. We had Dennis Brown as well as Jim Winnan on talking about the Inland Empire All-Star Classic, which is quickly coming up right after Christmas in January, so that'll be a great game. And let's go to the Eastern Division now, Kyle.
Speaking of great games.
Yes.
I think the best game of the week is in this division.
Well, which one? They're both great, but which one are you hinting at?
I'm hinting at San G Norte Vista.
Let me pull up the brackets here.
San Gorgonio is the number 1 seed in the Eastern Division. They're the best team in the Eastern Division. They're the team that's most talented with at the skill position and skill position talent in this division. They're also one of the best coached in the division. I mean, San G is a fantastic team. They've shown that throughout this entire season. You've also got Norte Vista, a pretty darn good team. That double wing offense is very hard to stop. Victor Gonzalez is one of the best players in the inland area, period, regardless of division. Ken Batdorf, also one of the best coaches. I mean, everywhere you look, both teams are well coached. Both teams are hungry to prove something. Both teams have athletes up the wazoo. I think both these teams would do just fine up in the Central Division. Sanji's the favorite. I personally am picking Sanji to win because, once again, I think they just have too much talent. I said last week I thought Talkowitz would hang with them for a half, and they did.
And they did.
It was 22-17 Sanji at half.
And you were taking some heat, weren't you?
Yeah, someone on the message board said something which was actually really funny. I was exactly right about what happened, and he was saying something that was
they
not
said
educated.
Sanji blew them out.
And what I said was exactly what I thought would happen. That
Close
Sanji
game for a half.
And then Sanji would run away with it. Well, it was 22-17.
That's exactly what happened.
It was 22-17 Sanji at the half, and then they hung 21.
Wait, so are you seeing something similar against Norte Vista? For a half it would be close, and in the second half the Spartans pull away?
I think Novi can hang a little longer, maybe through 3 quarters, but once again, I think over the course of the game, Sanji will pull away. They're just the best team there is out there. But once again, Norte Vista, they're not going down without a fight. Sanji had a very tough game with Ukaipa. They had a very tough game with Colton, both of which they won. This game right here could be the toughest game they play all season. And I'm going to take it a step further. I think the winner of this game wins the title. I think these are the 2 best teams left in this bracket. Citrus Hill and Moval are playing to lose the title game.
You don't think Citrus Hill will defend?
I do not.
Do you think they'll get past Moreno Valley?
Yes.
I think Moreno Valley, obviously their unsung hero has been that defensive unit. They've been coming up huge in recent weeks. If they can score enough, and Citrus Hill knows how to score as well, I think if their defensive unit comes to play against, like what they did against Serrano, a team that scores a lot of points, and the Moval defense came to the rescue in that one, as they did the week before in their playoff game.
Yeah, Serrano was sort of interesting. It looked like they scored a lot of points, but if you look, a lot of their points came against really bad teams like Granite Hills and Adelanto. So that said, Moval deserves a lot of credit for holding them to 7. I don't think anyone saw that coming. Both Moval and Citrus Hill, teams that are well coached but have flaws. Citrus Hill probably should have lost their game last week. They keep surviving really because Brett Hollingsworth keeps bailing them out. They make a lot of mistakes, a lot of dumb penalties, a couple turnovers. The defense has holes. Really, they owe their season to Brett Hollingsworth. I really truly believe that. Moval as well. That when Dane Watkins went down, a lot of people left him for dead.
That's right.
Justice Tyler's come in and not only been a great quarterback, he was pretty good in the secondary too. I think he had like 4 or 5 picks.
Yeah, he was a stud.
So there's no question that Moval, they've shown that you can't just assume they're going to lose. They've done that by beating Serrano. Once again, though, Citrus Hill, I said this on the You Pick'em show, they're 19-0 at home the last 3 years. 4 of those games came in the playoffs. And I think they've all been pretty much blowouts, too. When they're home in the playoffs, they win. And I think that's going to give Citrus Hill the edge they need. But this is a flawed Citrus Hill team. Moval has some weaknesses. I go back to Sanji and Novi, I really think are the 2 best teams left alive in this bracket.
And Moreno Valley's big wins both came at home. One against Carter, one against Serrano, and it was the defense that really stepped up in both of those victories. Can they do it on the road against a Citrus Hill team, as you said, led by Brett Hollingsworth, who might score some points? But what if we saw an all River Valley League final, a Moval against Novi? I don't know if a lot of people saw that coming. I assumed it would be Sanji and Citrus Hill playing for the title.
I think that would provide a lot of validation because I think a lot of people think the River Valley League is the worst league in the division. I think that
they've got 2 in the semis, if you look at it.
And they've really shown something with that. I think a lot of people, if you would ask what the best leagues are, they probably say, the MRL up in the high desert is deep. You probably throw maybe the San Andreas in there with Sanji, Carter, Rialto. Mountain Pass League, even though Beaumont fell off a little bit just because Citrus Hill, you knew they was good. Probably you would have said the River Valley League and the Desert Sky League were the worst leagues in the division. Well, the River Valley League has 2 teams in the semis, so they've already proven that everyone who thought that was wrong.
Yeah.
If they have 2 teams in the finals, I think that's a pretty cool source of validation, and that'd be another good game. That was a close one the first time around. It really last 2 years, Novi and Moval have been close when they've played.
Well, we'll find out what happens on Friday and see if the top 2 seeds can advance into this playoff.
That's it. I think it'll be Sanji Citrus Hill, though, so I think the RVL will be shut out of the title game.
All right, now we move to the East Valley Division. Here's the bracket you're looking at it right now. Top-seeded Jurupa Hills going up against Western Christian and Upland. And Big Bear traveling to San Juan Capistrano to take on St. Margaret's. Don't know a lot about Big Bear. I know they've only fielded about 28 guys, but they're tough to beat on the mountain. What can they do on the road here in Orange County?
Well, they're going to run the ball down your throats. 52 rushing touchdowns this year. I think that was through 11 games. They hadn't updated their stats last week, so they're averaging 5 rushing touchdowns a game. They have, I think, 5 guys with over 400 or 500 yards on the season and multiple rushing touchdowns. They have a lot of guys who can hurt you on the ground. The Bears are for real. I mean, they put up a really good season. They've put up a lot of points. The defense has also had some moments as well. Salem, Capistrano, St. Margaret's, they've alternated between 1 and 2 all year. So I think that, they're home. They're higher ranked.
Yeah.
They're going to be favored going into this game. But I don't think it would necessarily be a huge upset if Big Bear went in and won. I think the Bears are a good team that can definitely win this game. I think this will be a close one.
I would love to see Big Bear win and then host. But
that'd be awesome.
I mean, if Harupa Hills won as well, it would be a coin flip. Assuming it was Big Bear and Harupa Hills, they'd have to coin flip to see who would host the championship game. But Big Bear, they won the CIF title last in 2006. So they've got a pretty good football tradition. I think they also won like in the early 90s as well.
Yeah,
so, I mean, they win some CIF titles here and there.
And Coach Dave Griffiths, is another guy that's very well respected around the area from those in the know. So it'd be cool to see, if Big Bear can get back to that their CIF winning ways of a few years ago.
All right. I still like Harupa Hills. We got their helmet right here, and that leads us to the old Tell Me Why game. Let me get the papers in here. Kyle, I'll draw one for you first.
I do want to point out, Western Christian is no pushover. They've been a very good team out of the Ambassador League. Harupa Hills will have their hands full, I think.
And the best
but they should win.
And the best part is Western Christian is literally walking distance from Upland High School.
Yep.
So our guy, Adam Drexler, let me give him a shout out right now. Adam will be going from the Centennial Upland game to Harupa Hills Western Christian. So we'll have video highlights from both those games.
By the way, I'll be covering Citrus Hill Moval, so I think both teams will be mad at me because I said neither of them have a chance to win the title. So sorry.
I wouldn't go up in the press box or sit in the stands. I'd go find a corner and just hunker down.
Absolutely.
With some sunglasses and a hat. All right, here you go, Kyle. Tell me why the Rancho Verde High School will not allow Kaiser to beat them for a second year in a row.
Because Rancho Verde is the better team. It's that simple. They play in a better league. They have more talent on the offensive side of the football. Plus, they have that motivation from that frustrating loss last year. I don't think it's a stretch at all to say Rancho Verde wins and even wins, fairly comfortably.
All right. We each got 2 here. Tell me why, where you have to make a case.
Nice and big. I appreciate it.
I tried. I didn't know if you had your glasses today or not, or contacts, but...
All right, Pep, tell me why Norco can pull off the upset and beat Vista Murrieta.
Oh, man, that is a tall order, but for the sake of the game, there's a lot of emotion going into this, and, we were trying to downplay, like, the pride of the city, and, they want to maybe exact revenge. I don't know if revenge is the correct word here, but they want to prove that they're still good, and they don't need, that Gerhardt name to go with Norco. It's going to be tough. I mean, Vista Murrieta, any way you slice it, is a great team. But for Norco, in order to win, they got to ride that emotion. They've got to have that chip on their shoulder, like they're out to prove something to everyone and defend their home field. I'm sure it's going to be packed. That place will be loud if they can get it loud and get the crowd on their side. And I guess anything can happen. And Norco's playing at a high level. I mean, the last couple games, they're kind of like, I see them in the same situation as Kaiser. As the season has gone on, they've progressively gotten better.
I think you can make the argument, if you look at every team in the inland area, our good friend Jim Wynn mentions 117 schools in the Inland Empire. There's probably not a team that's had a better stretch of their last 3 games than Norco.
That's right.
Smacking Santiago, smacking Great Oak, and beating Ranch Cucamonga on the road. I don't think there's a team that has a resume like that over the past month.
And if you want to go to the game that was right before the Santiago, they played King, and I was at that one. It went to overtime. It was a very close game, and Larry Baker, the head coach at Norco, was not a happy camper how they were playing against King. They did squeak out the win, and it seems like after that, maybe it was a wake-up call. I don't know what you want to call it, but it definitely got them on the right track, and they've been playing well.
Definitely.
All right, Kyle, tell me why Big Bear will meet Harupa Hills in the East Valley Finals.
Well, I think we just went over it. Big Bear is going to run the ball down St. Margaret's throats. I think that St. Margaret's won't be able to stop them. Maybe stop them for a half or a quarter, but at the end of the day, Big Bear is going to wear you down. And once they get rolling, they're hard to stop, just like a bear. Once they get rolling down a hill, they don't really stop. And then Harupa Hills is going to win because A, they're the #1 seed, and B, because they have about 3 or 4 times as many kids on their campus as Western Christian. So if they don't win, it's kind of an embarrassing loss. They have more kids. They have the best player on the field in Damian Wright.
Yep.
And they're the top seed. That simple.
Yeah, Harupa Hills and Rim of the World moving to the San Andreas League next season, which would put them in the Eastern Division bracket. All right, last one here. The good old Harupa Hills helmet. Shout out to Coach McMillan for donating this for the season. We
By the
really
way, I was just
appreciate
at Murrieta Hills covering the basketball tournament when I got here. That's a gorgeous campus. Wow.
It is. Their football stadium's nice. I have not seen the basketball gym per se, but the football stadium's awesome.
Everything. I was like, I would go to school here. All right, Pep.
Yes.
Tell me why Moreno Valley's run will not end against Citrus Hill.
If they can score enough points, the defense will be there. I think the defense has been showing up in the playoffs. You know, you need someone to get hot, you know, whether it's a running back or a quarterback. In this case, it's Moval's defense. Moval's defense has gotten hot when they need them the most. Playing on the road at Citrus Hill, I don't think that's going to be a major factor. Head coach Ted Watkins said, you know, they're kind of that sleeper team, that underdog in every single game. So it's like, why not? We'll just go out there and give everything we have. So they're going to go up against the defending champion. They've got nothing to lose. The defense will show up. And I'm kind of pulling for an all, even though I've picked San Gorgonio to win the whole thing already, it would be nice to see an all River Valley League final for the Eastern Division Championship. All right, before we go, Kyle, of course, Thanksgiving is tomorrow on Thursday. So real quick, what are you thankful for this football season? I know you're working on a column right now that will go out Friday, correct?
Yeah, that's more about what various schools should be thankful for. But I'm going to be selfish here and talk about myself for a second. I'm just thankful that I have the opportunity to work with so many cool, amazing coaches and see so many talented kids. I mean, this is a great, great area for high school sports as a whole, not just football. I feel very fortunate that I've been given the opportunity to come down and work here and, you know, get to see some really memorable games, meet some really memorable people. And, you know what, even in the stands, meet some really great, you know, parents and support staff. So I'm just very, very thankful for the simple fact that I'm here now and that I work for the Riverside Press Enterprise and I get to cover high school sports in this area.
Straight from the heart, people, right now. The big ticket, Kyle Glaser. All right, so I went back to the football season and jotted down just a couple things that I'm thankful for this year. Thankful for Temescal Canyon's Jacob Zinda, the 109-yard touchdown return. We tried our best to get it on SportsCenter's top 10. I never saw it. ESPN's, you know, their loss.
Get on it, guys.
Because it was an awesome highlight. Thankful that La Sierra snapped their 0-5 start. Actually made a pretty good run at the end in River Valley League play. Thankful that Hrupa Valley coach Joe Garez, he came on the show knowing that we were going to talk about Fergie. Remember we talked about Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas and we busted his chops about it, but he was still a good sport about it. Bloomington wrestler Derek Jones went out for football this year, had a herniated disc in his back, decided to shut it down, so I'm thankful that he had surgery today, Kyle. So, Derek, hope you're getting better, recovering today and getting ready for the wrestling season because that's his ticket. You know, he wants to play football maybe at the next level, but wrestling's really his top sport. How about this? You were there. I'm thankful for Jim Walker and his candid, funny interviews. Remember our pregame interview with him at Miller?
Yep. No, Jim's a good guy. Another interview I'm always grateful for is Mike Clark at Eisenhower. He's passionate. He's fiery. He's an offensive lineman. You know, he'll get right in your face and tell you how it is and talk a little trash. And I'm starting to call him the Mike Clark quote machine.
Oh, so, yeah?
There's something about those big CBL coaches, you know, those physically large CBL coaches. They're great quotes.
Well, let's keep it at Eisenhower. I'm thankful for Vinny Fazio and his great stories. Maybe it's an Eisenhower deal, right?
Yeah, I think we're all thankful for Vinny. Vinny, everything. I mean, his quotes in newspaper, quotes, you know, for coming on the show. Definitely a guy that it's great to be around. It's great to have him around.
And even better news, Vinny Fazio is spending tonight with his family. He's got family in town.
We didn't want to bother him.
No, of course. But he will be back next week to preview the championship games with us. So, Vinny Fazio, enjoy your night off. I'm thankful for Linfield Christian's Riser Wilkins. He volunteered to restore the home of a disabled veteran. We don't get enough of those stories. Those are awesome. And, of course, we're thankful for everyone who's praying and supporting Jordan Walker and his family and everyone at Santiago during his recovery after that injury. All right, Kyle, before we go, we always pick our player of the week, some guy that we think on Friday night will help his team get a win, and now it's under the magnifying glass because it's a trip to the finals on the line. So if there was one guy on Friday night that you think is going to have a big game and be the difference, who do you think that guy will be?
I'm going to go on the defensive side of the football. Curtis Bolton, Vista Murrieta, had 7 sacks against Charter.
That's amazing.
I mean, the guy's a monster. Norco's got a couple of really good offensive playmakers under center, and Victor Viramontes, a dual-threat quarterback, and Corey Young. I think Bolton from his linebacker spot is really going to help neutralize those two and really help Vista Murrieta get out and come away with a win.
All right, so you got Buzzy Bolton. I'm going with this guy, Robert Weber, ya boy Webb.
I feel like that's cheating.
Why?
Every week he's going to be good.
Listen, I haven't picked this guy all year, and I just think against Upland, It's going to be high scoring. Everything goes through me. I'm the quarterback. I give Barry Ware the ball. I hand it off to Beats by Trey Watson. I'm going to be the man. It's your boy Webb, and we're going to go to the CIF
By the way,
Finals.
just getting on the Robert Weber train again, I don't care he's 5'11". You're really telling me that the Western Michigans of the world,
Could
New
use
Mexico
him?
States, I don't know, the North Texases, UT San Antonio, you're telling me he couldn't play for y'all? Y'all are crazy. That is a Division I quarterback, period. Deal with it.
If I could take a quote from Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. He wins games. Robert Weber, throw out, the eyeball test or whatever you want to do.
No, he passes the eyeball test. He just doesn't pass
I know,
the
but he
height
doesn't
test.
look like, let's say, like a Blake Barnett, or a Sharon Jones, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4".
I'm going to ask those guys, like I said, the Wyomings of the world, how's that working out for you, having a 6'4" guy who looks the part, but there's a minor issue, isn't actually that good at football?
Yeah. Would you rather look the part or win football games?
Have someone play the part.
Yeah, so you play to win the games. Robert Weber wins games. That's all he does. He plays at Centennial.
Start a petition, like college coaches who don't think he can play for your program, you're not qualified to be a college coach.
We'll look up their records a year from now.
I'm not talking about the USCs of the world, but I'm talking about some of those other D1 schools. This kid would make you a better team.
There are a lot of schools that could use a Robert Weber. All right, so
UConn, they lost to Towson. That wouldn't happen if Robert Weber was your quarterback.
Where's Towson?
I don't know.
Do they play football?
I don't know. Hey, Florida just lost to Georgia Southern.
Stranger things have happened. Yeah, geez. I think I go back to the Appalachian Michigan game a couple of years ago. But anyways, we've digressed. All right, so you've got Buzzy Bolton. I've got Robert Weber. Likely we'll see each other again next Friday in that Inland Division Championship. But we'll talk about that next week if that does happen on Friday. You want to make any quick predictions on any champions? I don't know I think the week we made championship predictions, David Zink filled in for you. We're feeling a little under the weather, but
yeah.
Inland Division, just quickly. Inland.
Vista.
Central.
Rancho.
I thought you were going to say Colony. No, I'm just kidding. Eastern Division.
San G.
And East Valley.
Harupa Hills.
There you go. There's his 4 picks for the championship games. We hope everyone out there enjoys their Thanksgiving. We will be back on Friday covering all the high school football games. And we've got to thank Dennis Brown from Riverside Poly joining us on the show. Doing a great job breaking down some of those Central Division teams.
Absolutely. It's always good to pick the brain of a coach a little bit.
And Jim Wynn dropping off. We got tons of tickets over here. Are these all for us?
I think these are ads. These aren't tickets. These are the promotional ads.
It says adult admission. Yeah, right there. Good for one-time admission.
Wow.
So if you sweet talk Kyle and I food works. We've got a lot of Inland Empire All-Stars tickets.
I think he might have left these on accident. We should give him a call.
He might have. I don't know if he's still over there. We got a lot of shirts, too.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. All right. Well, Pat, happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
You too, Kyle.
Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving to all you loyal viewers out there. Enjoy and be thankful to tell those you love that you're thankful for them.
Yes, and we got to give thanks to Adrenaline one more time, hosting us all season long. We'll be back here next week as we head into the final week of the playoffs before state. We might have a team going to state, likely, but next week we'll preview all the championship games, and Vinny Fazio will be back with Kyle and I. So for everyone at HS Game Time, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you on Friday for HS Game Time Live.